Hello everybody and welcome to the 7th video in our series of videos on the Reformation. As always, we begin with our learning outcomes, so by the end of this presentation you guys should know what happened in the Peasants Revolt in Germany in 1524 to 1525. You guys should also know 3 religious wars that erupted as a result of the Reformation. And finally, you guys should know what the Peace of Augsburg, the Edict of Nantes and the Peace of Westphalia achieved. Today we are going to look at one of the major consequences of the Reformation, and that was the outbreak of religious wars in Europe. The division of the church generally led to people being unable to accept or understand other people holding different views, and it led to many wars breaking out along religious lines. The first war that we will look at took place in Luther's lifetime, and it took place in Germany, and this was the Peasants Revolt of Germany, which lasted from 1524 to 1525. Peasants and other villagers started protesting and rioting. It started out as a religious protest, but it evolved into peasants using Luther's ideas to attack the unfair social structures in their land. They wrote a pamphlet called the 12 Articles, based on Luther's ideas that stated that serfdom was created by men and not part of the Bible, and it should be abolished. They refused to pay taxes, they attacked castles and churches, and they raised an army of up to 300,000 men. Luther, however, refused to support the peasants, and he wrote a pamphlet attacking them called Against the Rioting Peasants. Luther's freedom only extended to the spiritual world and not to the physical, and it was this condemnation of the peasants which kept the princes in line with Luther. The peasants were crushed by the landlords in the end, and the revolt came to nothing. We also saw that war broke out after Luther's death in 1546 when the Lutheran princes of the Schmalkaldic League fought against Holy Roman Emperor Charles V and the Catholic princes, and this led to the signing of the Peace of Augsburg in 1555, which let princes choose the religion of their territories. As we saw with Ulrich Zwingli, there was also fighting in Switzerland with the division of the country between Protestants and Catholics, and Zwingli himself was killed in 1531. One of the longest and deadliest conflicts of the wars that took place after the Reformation took place in France between the years of 1562 and 1598. And this was a war between the Catholics and the Huguenots, which was the name of Calvin's followers in France. And the Huguenot religion spread quickly across France. These were known as the religious wars, the French wars of religion, and there were actually 8 wars in this time period. It's believed that 3 million people died in this conflict, which was driven by rival aristocratic families in France, of the House of Guise, who were Catholic, and the House of Condé, who were Protestant. The most infamous incident of the war was the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre in 1572, where many prominent Huguenots were attending a royal wedding in Paris and they were murdered. Riots then broke out, with the Parisians killing many Huguenots and anyone they could really find in the city. This spread throughout France and many thousands of Huguenots were killed, sparked by this event. A continuation of wars finally ended when Henry of Navarre became king in 1589 and became King Henry IV of France, and he issued the Edict of Nantes in 1598, which finally granted Huguenots substantial rights and freedoms within the country, thereby ending the war. There was also a war between Catholic Spain and Protestant England, which we will look at in our study of the plantations, when King Philip II of Spain launched the Spanish Armada against the British, which didn't end too well for him. The final war that we will mention is the 30 Years' War that raged from 1618 to 1648, in which 8 million people were killed. This war started 101 years after Luther's writing of the 95 Theses, which shows how divisive this issue had been. It began when a newly elected Holy Roman Emperor wanted to stamp out Protestantism in his empire and have a unified empire. This is when the second Defenestration of Prague takes place, in 1618, with the emperor's representatives being pushed out of a window. The war would include all the major powers of Europe at the time at one point or another. The Holy Roman Empire, Spain, France, England, Sweden and the Dutch Republic were all involved. The war ended with the Peace of Westphalia being signed in 1648. This destructive war led to a massive change in the balance of power in Europe, with Spain's power decreasing and countries like France and Sweden becoming very powerful countries indeed. So that brings us to the end of our presentation. So by now you guys should know what happened in the Peasants Revolt in Germany in 1524 to 1525. You guys should know 3 other religious wars that erupted as a result of the Reformation. And finally, you guys should know what the Peace of Augsburg, the Edict of Nantes and the Peace of Westphalia achieved. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys got something good from this video.